guys, this is Nikki from Team Battering Ram, and I am doing my deck profile on my Magician Girl deck. So we're going to start with the monsters. Staple in a lot of Magician's decks, you have to run 3 Dark Magician. You can't have Dark Magician Girl without Dark Magician. So 3 of those guys. Next, you have 3 copies of Berry Magician Girl. Berry, or Binky as Matt likes to call her. It's honestly one of the best searchers this deck has. Her attack and defense isn't very much, it's only 400, but her effect is what you use her for. Because when you normal summon her, you can add 1 Magician Girl monster from your deck to your hand, and then once per turn, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets this card or targets this card for an attack, you can literally change her battle position from attack to defense, and then special summon a Magician Girl monster from your deck. And then the attack, if they still go through with the attack, they can either attack Berry or they would attack your special summoned monster. So you have to run at least 3 of her. I've tried to run less. It doesn't go very well. It really doesn't. Next, you're gonna run 3 Chocolate Magician Girls. She is your draw engine. So when you normal summon her, you can discard 1 card and then discard 1 spellcaster monster. And then you draw 1 card. Also, when she's out on the field and she's targeted for an attack, you can special summon from your graveyard and then change the attack to it, and then the attacking monster's attack points get halved. So she especially comes in handy because with this deck you're going to be sending Dark Magician Girl, Dark Magician. I try to get as many of my spellcasters in my graveyard as possible, not only for one of the spells that I run, but also because of Chocolate, because I can put her out on the field and then special summon and literally knock my opponent in half. Everybody loves Chocolate. This is what everybody debates with me on. So it is a Dark Magician Girl deck. However, I only run 2 Dark Magician Girls because I found when I was running 3, I was bricking, constantly bricking. So I do have her in my side deck, so if I want to run 3, I can, but 2 seems to be the magic number for me. And everybody knows Dark Magician Girl. If you've got Magician of Black Chaos or Dark Magician in the graveyard, she gains 300 points for each one. So that's why you want to knock as many of them in the graveyard as you can. Next, you gotta have some hand traps. So I run 2 Effect Veilers. It helps that they're spellcasters too, because again, if I get them in the graveyard and I use Magicalized Fusion or Secrets of Dark Magic, which are in this deck, you can use Effect Veiler and then Dark Magician to get out like the Dark Magicians, but we'll go over that in a second. Next, you run 2 copies of Magician's Rod. This is another one that's kind of debated just because, like, personally, I only run 2 because, again, I brick if I run more than that. But his effect is really what you use him for. When you normal or special summon him, you can search for a Dark Magician spell or trap. And with the new Dark Magician support that came out, this definitely comes in handy because you can grab Soul Servant, you can grab Secrets, you can grab Dark Magical Circle, Eternal Soul, like all your basic Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl spells or traps. One copy of Oracle Mana. I love the artwork on her. I really do. Like, she's just one hell of a card. And when you basically, if you have a spellcaster monster out on the field and your opponent targets that spellcaster monster, then you can special summon her from your hand. So then you get a 2000 beater out on the field. Plus, if you have like Dark Magician out and you don't have Eternal Soul, then she protects your Dark Magician with her effect. So then your opponent can't target them with card effects. So 1 copy of her. Plus, if you have Soul Servant, she comes in handy with that as well. Next, you run 1 copy of Lemon. It's a Magician Girl deck, so I run at least 1 of Lemon, Kiwi, Apple. Basically the ones that their effects are good, but they're not as great as like Berry or Chocolate. Lemon especially, once per turn, you can target one of your spellcaster type monsters and tribute them, so that way you can special summon a Magician Girl monster from your deck. Don't really tribute her very much, but when you do target her for an attack, that's when the special summon kicks in, and then your opponent's attack gets negated. So it's always a plus. Card that makes everybody jealous. Everybody. Magician Souls. If you have 3, run 3. If you have 2, run 2. If you only have 1 like me, just run 1. It's a great Magician support card. Especially if you start with it in your hand, you can use its effects right away. You can send 1 level 6 or higher spellcaster type monster from your deck to the graveyard, so you can either use it to send Dark Magician Girl or Dark Magician, and then you can use its other effect, which is if you send this card to the graveyard, you can special summon that monster that you just sent. So it's a quick and easy way to get either Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl out onto the field. You can also send 2 spells or traps to the graveyard and special summon this card. So a lot of different ways that you can use it. The artwork is also just super freaking cool. So if you have it, use it. If you don't, you need to get it. Really should have put these in order before I did this. So this is Kiwi Magician Girl. Her I also only run 1 of, just because she's not... Her effects are good, but they're not that great. You can either discard her while you have other Magician Girls out on the field. Like say I had Apple out as well. I could literally discard Kiwi from my hand and then add 300 attack and defense to Apple by doing so. But 9 times out of 10, if I'm going to summon Kiwi, it's mainly for her second effect, because once she's out on the field, all my spellcaster monsters cannot be targeted by card effects. So it's just another added protection. Plus she's got 1800 attack, so it's kind of hard to beat her. You have to summon something really, really high. Well, not really, really high, but you know what I mean. Apple is the last Magician Girl that I run. I don't really use either of her effects, honestly. Like, I should, but I don't. 9 times out of 10, if I'm summoning Apple, it's because I've got Magicalized Fusion in my hand, and then I just banish her along with everything in my graveyard in order to get out either Quintet or the Dark Magicians. But if she's destroyed by battle or card effect, then you can also use her to get like Kiwi, Lemon, Berry, at least 3 Magician Girls with different names out of your graveyard and back into your hand. So she is useful, just I probably don't use her the right way. You run 1 copy of Apprentice Illusion Magician. Again, this is just... It's one that I recently added. I probably don't use her correctly. She's just an added spellcaster to me, honestly, so that way I can get out the cards that I really, really want to get out. But you can discard her. You can special summon her, my bad. Special summon her by discarding one card from your hand to get her out onto the field. So then you have 2,000 attack right out there. Then you can also tribute her while she's out on the field to add 2,000 attack and defense to your Dark Magician. So she's great Dark Magician support, just not what I use her for. Probably wondering why I have her in the deck then. It's because, one, she's pretty, two, I do actually use her, just not the way other people do. Same with Oracle Mahad. I do brick with him in my hand sometimes, just because if you draw into him, it's great, because then you can special summon him by revealing him, and then when he fights a dark monster, you have a 5,000 beater out on the field, because his attack points get doubled. So 25 times 2, you get 5,000, there you go. Also, if he's defeated in battle or destroyed by card effect, then you can use his other effect and special summon a Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So it's great to have him out. I've kicked Nick and Matt's butts with him a couple of times. But again, he's also a spellcaster. What I mostly use him for is getting out my fusions, which we'll go over in a bit. Same with these guys. I literally added Windwitch, Snowbell, and Windwitch Icebell just for their special summoning. Icebell, if you have her in your hand and you don't have any other monsters, you can special summon her and then go into your deck and special summon another Windwitch that's not Icebell. So by getting both of them out on the field, then I can either go into a Synchro summon, a Link summon. Like, just getting them out is great. Plus, when you get out Icebell, your opponent gets 500 points of life points taken away. So that was all of the monsters. Now the key to any spellcaster deck is the spells. I recommend running 3 Secret Village. Yes, if you don't have a spellcaster out on the field, it's going to screw you. It's going to literally screw you, because then you can't summon or use any spells or traps. Or can't use spells. I can't talk today. I did not have enough coffee for this. But can't have a spellcaster deck without Secret Village of spellcasters. You gotta run 3 of those. Then of course, because it is a magician's deck, you are gonna run 3 Dark Magical Circle. Really cool card. It's a continuous spell, so it stays out on the field, but when you first use it, you can look at the top 3 cards on your deck, and if it's a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician spell or trap, you can add it to your hand and then put the remaining 2 cards back in whichever order you want. And when you special summon a Dark Magician out onto the field, you can banish any card that your opponent controls. So you can banish a spell, you can banish trap, monster, whatever you want to get out of your way, you can literally get out of your way. Alright. So this is another hot one that some people use correctly, some don't. I'm probably one of those that is in between. This is Soul Servant. If you have 3, run 3. It gives you the ability to stack your deck. So when you place one card on, when you use this card, you can place one card on the top of your deck from your hand, deck, or graveyard that is Dark Magician, or specifically list Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl in its text, except Soul Servant. And then during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard and draw however many Palladium, Dark Magician, or Dark Magician Girls you have out on the field. So it definitely has come in handy for me. It's something that I think all Dark Magician Girl and Dark Magician decks should have by now. If you don't, it's not that hard to get, honestly. It's not like Magician Soul where you have to pay $120 for it. Next, you're going to want to run Secrets of Dark Magic. This I would recommend running whether you run a Fusion Dark Magician deck, a Ritual Dark Magician deck. Just run this card because you can use this card and one Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl and then one other monster you have out on your field to fusion summon either Dark Magicians, Quintet, Amulet Dragon, like anything that lists Dark Magician, you can get out using these two cards. So I recommend 2 just because 3 again seems a little too much, but do with that what you will. The rest of these are all singles. So with any spellcaster, if you're running either a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Girl, at least run 1 Dark Burning Magic because this is a great way to clear your opponent's field. The only downside is you have to have both Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl out on the field. If you don't and you only have 1 and this is just sitting in your hand, it's gonna suck. So you have to find a way to either get 1 and the other out in order to use this, but then all of that goes away. Monster Reborn, you have to have that in every deck. It sucks, honestly. Like, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Way back in the day where it wasn't banned or limited to 1, and boy, I used to kick my brother's butts with this. But now it's down to 1, so Monster Reborn, quick and easy way to get it from, like, if one of your spellcasters is in the graveyard, you can get it from the graveyard back onto the field. Sage of Stone is a great card to get Dark Magician Girl out if you don't already have her out. You do need a Dark Magician out on the field in order to use it though, so that's why you only run 1. Obviously, if you're going to run 3 secret villages like I do, you need a way to look for them. So I have Terraforming, and then I also have Metaverse. That's a quick and easy way to add a field spell from your deck to your hand, and then you can just automatically activate it and prevent your opponent from using any spells or traps if they're using a deck that's not a spellcaster. Dark Magic Attack, plain and simple. Like, you never want to fight your opponent and have them with a full back row. You just don't. So this is a nice way, if you have Dark Magician out on the field, you can clear their back row. Plus, it's searchable using either Magician's Rod, Soul Servant, Eternal Soul. Like, this is one of those cards that in a spellcaster deck you just have to have. This is one of the new ones that I literally just added the other day. Magician's Restage. When you use it, it's a continuous spell, so it's going to stay out on the field. When you do use it, you can special summon a level 3 or lower spellcaster from your graveyard out onto the field. So say I had like Berry or Apple or Lemon in the graveyard, then I can use this to special summon them. Plus, if it gets destroyed, then I can go and grab a continuous spell like Dark Magical Circle from my deck, hand, or graveyard and add it out on the field, which is great. Tried 3, didn't work very well. Tried 2, still didn't work very well. So I only recommend running 1 of this if you do run it. Eye of Timaeus is just another way to fusion summon, especially if you have the 3 dragons like I do. You can use Eye of Timaeus to get out any one of these. So there's only really 1 that you need, unless you are a fusion heavy deck, then maybe you want to run 2. But so far, running 1 works for me, so that's all I do. Dark Burning Attack, obviously, it's a Dark Magician Girl deck. You're gonna need a Dark Magician Girl card. in order to use this card, but this also is a way to clear your opponent's board and get rid of their monsters, which is nice because then you can just, you know, direct attack them with Dark Magician Girl for 2,000 and then Dark Magician for 25, and hey, look, there's half their life points gone already. Imagine that. Another staple in any spellcaster deck, honestly, is the bond between teacher and student. If you have Dark Magician out on the field, you can special summon a Dark Magician Girl, and then you can set either Dark Burning Magic, Dark Magic Attack, Dark Burning Attack. Basically, all those cards that I said wipe out your opponent's board, you can use this to wipe out your opponent's board. So, you only need one of these. I don't recommend running any more than that, just because, again, there's a high chance that you will brick. I've run several tests with this deck where I've run multiple, and that's just what I've come across. This is my favorite card. Honestly, if I draw into this, I'm smiling like the frickin' Cheshire Cat because my opponents are screwed. Because you can fusion summon one spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using materials on your field and in your graveyard by banishing them. So, Quintet, for example, when you use 5 spellcaster monsters to summon him, you wipe out everything that they have. So I will literally use this to get him out and clear my opponent's board. And then I've got a 45 beater out, and I can wipe out half their life points. This is why, this card is exactly why I will keep as many spellcasters in my graveyard as possible, just because, 1, I do have ways to get them out of there, and 2, if they are in there, there's a high probability of me getting him out. The last spell card that I have in this deck, one that I have added recently, it's gotten me out of a couple of jams, is Dark Magical Veil. You have to pay 1,000 life points in order to use it, but then you can special summon one dark spellcaster type monster from your hand or graveyard. So it's another one of those where you either want something really good like Dark Magician in your hand or Dark Magician in your graveyard, and then it's a price to pay. I mean, 1,000 life points seems like a lot, but when you're about to wipe out your opponent, it's probably a good price to pay. Next, we are going into our traps. And if I'm going too fast for anybody, I do apologize. Like I said, it's early. I'm normally behind the camera taking pictures of the team. I'm not normally in front of the camera. So me and talking just don't mix. So traps, you're gonna want to run Eternal Soul. Funny story, I watched a video this morning about the top 10 worst cards for a Dark Magician deck, and this was brought up not because it's one of the worst, but because it was compared to one of the worst ones in there. But you gotta run 3, especially if you have 3 Dark Magicians. You gotta run 3 because it'll protect every Dark Magician in your main monster zone, plus you can either use one of the 2 effects of it. You can either special summon one Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard, or you can add 1 Dark Magic Attack or 1,000 Knives from your deck to your hand. The only downside to Eternal Soul is if your opponent is able to get it off the board, then all of your monsters in your main monster zone are also gone. So there is that, but otherwise it's a great card. Has some amazing artwork on there. So you should definitely have this in your deck. Don't worry, the traps aren't as long as the spells are. I have more spells in this deck than I do traps. This is another new one that I added recently. It's the Magician's Combination. It's also a continuous trap. I probably should have mentioned Eternal Soul is also continuous, but most of y'all probably already know that. So I'm not gonna treat you like you don't. Magician's Combination is one of the new Dark Magician support that came out. It's a really good card. Like, you can honestly activate this and then once per turn swap out either Dark Magician. Like, if you have Dark Magician out on the field, you can swap him out for Dark Magician Girl and then negate whatever effect your opponent's trying to do, whether it be a monster effect, trap effect, magic card, like you can basically negate it and then just continue to swap them out the entire time you have them. So it's a good card. The only downside is it's once per turn. So if they, like say they have an Ash Blossom and you activate it and you negate the Ash, and then they have another thing that wipes out either your monsters or your board, you can't just swap them out again in order to negate that. But it's still a really good card to have. If I had 3, I would probably run 3, but I only have 2, so I only run 2. But it's a really good card to have. Alright, then you have Magician's Navigation. That also was brought up in the video that I watched this morning. Again, not because it's a bad card. He called it a mediocre card. Again, that's his opinion. I think it's a pretty good card. I only run 2 just because I don't see it very often in my deck. You never want to draw both of them at the same time. But when you do have it, you can special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand, and then you can special summon 1 level 7 or lower. So if you wanted to, you could use this to special summon Dark Magician in your hand, and then Dark Magician Girl from your deck, or another Dark Magician, or Apprentice Illusion Magician, or basically anything you want really to get out what you want to get out, which is going to be your extra deck. You're going to run 1 copy of Dark Renewal. It's just a contingency plan, really. If your opponent normal or special summons a monster and they have an effect that could wipe you out or something, you could activate Dark Renewal. You do have to tribute 1 of your spellcasters out on the field, but then you can special summon a spellcaster from your deck, and it also wipes out the monster your opponent was just trying to summon. So it's one of my contingency plans in case something does happen. This was Metaverse, the other field trap I was talking about. The other way to find Secret Village is by activating this card, and you can either add it to your hand or you can activate it right away. It's a great thing to just have in case you don't draw into Secret Village on your first or second turn. You can activate this and then grab it while your opponent's turn is still going, and then stop them from doing any kind of spells. And last but not least, this is another contingency plan I threw in there. It's Magic Cylinder. So when your opponent declares an attack, you can negate the attack, and then your opponent gets the damage that would have been done to you. It has saved my butt a couple of times. So you can run this, you can run Mirror Force. I'd recommend just having something like that in your deck just in case. You never know, something could go wrong. But that was the main deck. Now we're going on to the extra deck. Quintet Magician. I always feel like I'm saying his name wrong. He's a 45 beater. He takes 5 spellcaster monsters to fusion summon, but if you do 5 different spellcasters with different names, then you can wipe out your opponent's entire board and then attack them for 45. He also cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is pretty cool. It's a nice card to have. He's one of the ones that I try to get out the most, extra deck wise, which probably drives all of my friends crazy. My next favorite is the Dark Magicians. This is the new fusion that came out in this set we just had. It does require a Dark Magician and a Dark Magician Girl, but with or a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Girl, and then 1 spellcaster type monster. So with Secrets of Dark Magic, you can very easily get this card out. When you do, it's great because it's not only a 28 beater, but when your opponent activates a spell or a trap, you get to draw a card. And if it is a spell or a trap, then you can either set it or activate it while it's on your opponent's turn. So It's a great draw engine. Then also, if it's destroyed, you can special summon one Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl from your hand deck or graveyard. So either way, you're just set with this card. Obviously, because I run Eye of Timaeus, I have Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight, and Amulet Dragon. Honestly, with the new Dark Magicians that just came out, I don't get them out very often. Main reason I don't is because they aren't considered spellcasters, so if I have Secret Village out on the field, I'm screwed. They don't count as spellcasters, which, you know, I think Konami should probably change, because they still are spellcasters, but that's beside the point. So Amulet Dragon is a 29 beater. You can summon him with the Eye of Timaeus, and then when you do, you can target any number of spells in your graveyard, banish them, and then add 100 points for each banished spell card. So that's one way to up his attack points. Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, is only 26. She's not that great, but again, you can use the Eye of Timaeus to summon her, and then once per turn, she has a quick effect where you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard and then target one face-up card on the field and destroy it. So that's one way to pop your opponent's field. And Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. This one does become Dark Magician while it's out on the field, so if you have Eternal Soul, he would be protected, and he is 3,000. However, the only other thing he protects is your spells and your traps. So if your opponent does have a thing that can get rid of him or beats him in battle, whether you have Eternal Soul or not, it just takes care of him. See, only 5 fusions. Not a lot of fusions. More Link monsters than I do fusions. These, honestly, I also don't use very often. I really don't. I'm not very good at Link summoning. I'm probably going to be the first person to tell you that's one of the things that I need to work on in Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, used to play a long time ago, but that was when only fusion summoning and ritual summoning was a thing. And then y'all threw Link and Synchro and Xyz summoning on me, and just, no. So you have Link Kuriboh, IP Oracle Mana, Wee Witch Apprentice, Crowley, Nightmare Phoenix, Borlo Dragon. These two just, I mean, the cards are self-explanatory. They really are. I don't know why y'all go into detail about Link monsters, because their effects are great, but I just don't use them very often. But they are staples for your extra deck. Especially these two. Like, he's gotten me out of a couple of jams. She's got me out of a couple of jams. Nightmare Phoenix has. Nobody else really has, but again, I'm not good at Link summoning, so we're not going to open that can of worms on this video. If you want to do it on a different video, we can do it on a different video, but not on this one. And last but not least, you have your Xyz monsters. Oh, these guys are a pain in the ass. I hate Xyz summoning. I really do. I don't understand how y'all can do it. I'm probably one of those players where Xyz summoning and pendulum monsters just, it's way too confusing for me, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. But if you are running a spellcaster deck, then obviously in your extra deck you need Yvonne High Magician and Yvonne Illusion Magician. Their materials to summon them are a little whack, just because that literally takes 2 of your level 7s. So both of your Dark Magicians would be material for this guy, and then, you know, you have one in your deck, maybe, if he's not already in your hand. I really don't have much to say about these cards because I don't use them very often. I recommend that you have them, and if you do use them, you probably use them a lot better than I do, because once I get those fusions out, I'm done. 9 times out of 10, I get those fusions out and wipe out my opponents. And that is basically it. Like, there is not much else to say. I'm still testing this deck, still adding stuff to it, so if it helped you out, fantastic. If it didn't, hopefully you enjoyed my ranting for a little bit.